Hey all, so this is War 9 against ISO8, famous top tier alliance. We knew we'd have to bring our A game. I actually have an old friend there, Capcommunist. You can see his Airwalker in this freeze frame here. He has actually started uploading some of his war videos, so if you want to see some really interesting She-Hulk play, head over to his channel, which I will be linking in the description. But I am also very happy because this was a rather unusual map, but that unusual map allowed me to bring Killmonger for the first time this season because there's a MODOK boss. And things just lined up, and I am so happy about that. I've really missed that fight. But first up, we have Path 7 here. So this is Kinetic Transference Killmonger. Cosmic Ghost Rider turns off Killmonger's native power gain, but he'll still gain some from blocking. We just assume that that's not going to matter because we are instantly going to pick up our power gain here. We're going to get to the special too. It doesn't matter what his power is when we throw this because he's going to be power locked. He's not going to go red. And then we can bait this out. See, there we go. We're going to go ahead and trigger the Dex Judgment there, but it doesn't matter because it's not like we're going to need another special. We're just doing so much damage on basics. That's kind of the Cosmic Ghost Rider experience. So then we have this Sorcerer on Vivified. This is an interesting placement because she's going to gain a ton of power, and there's no real way to take it away. My reasoning for Reed here is that between Petrify and Suppression will blunt some of her power gain, especially Mystic Dispersion and her slow ability power gain. She's still going to gain a bunch from combos, but I was assuming I used an invulnerability for both of these fights, and I was assuming that essentially I could eat probably 5, maybe 6 special 3s from her, depending on if she threw other specials in between, because 3 would be eaten by the invulnerability, which those specials wouldn't do anything else to me, and then I could probably eat 2 more just via careful study. Now, she's throwing her specials constantly, so we're not going to get there. I honestly felt pretty good about this fight as soon as that first heavy took off 10% of her health. I'm like, okay, we're going to take some high ground damage because high ground sucks, and we're probably going to take some brute force damage because she's a mystic who's going to be throwing a ton of specials. But I knew we were in no danger of timing out, of her getting enough specials to cause a real problem. And there we go. Lost 25%. That's not fun, but that's one of the scarier nodes in the map, in my experience. And to be able to just waltz into it with Reed and assume he'll be able to tank the worst case scenario is very nice. So I've taken this Peni several times this season, very popular placement. However, if you bring the House of X pre-fight, then she can't purify stun debuffs because the stun isn't a debuff, and then you basically just have complete control over the fight. As long as you make sure to burn those Spider Sense charges during the stun, you can even fully combo into her. I'm not doing that for the most part here because Reed's playstyle rewards short combos and heavies anyway, so I don't feel like I have to. But when those charges get down to 0, I could. Like right now, I could fully combo. That's alright. I'm taking advantage of the rest of the fight to build back up to my special 2. And then I'm going to throw that. She has no charges. There's no chance of her auto-blocking any hit within this. We're now fully ramped. I can Dex at this point, and Power Snack would actually drain her power rather than giving her extras. At this point, to get extra charges, I would like to go for a special 1. She does have a charge, and yet she does go ahead and auto-block even with 1 charge. That should be okay. If she had come right at me, then I probably could have finished the fight like with a parry heavy and kept those other 2 debuffs up. That didn't happen. And what I should have done there is just parry and throw the special one because it would have done enough damage, would have closed out the fight, would have gotten those extra pre-fights. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. I ended up giving away more than we planned on and still had one left over at the end of the war. So this is a rank 4 Surfer on this node where basically if he gains an armor, he's going to try and place bleeds on me. Doesn't matter, Cosmic Ghost Rider is bleed immune, is not a robot, so they won't turn into shocks. We're just going to nuke down Surfer pretty much like we did Killmonger. It is a rank 4, and high ground sucks, so we expect some damage, especially because I'm going to play it nice and safe, and to keep my damage output high and the tempo good, I'm actually not planning on really dexing much, so probably going to take some extra damage that way. It doesn't matter. This is Cosmic Ghost Rider's last fight. See there, that's a ton of damage through the block, and I don't think that wasn't actually high ground. A lot of that was Surfer's bonus damage on his special 2. Maybe I should have dexed it. Like I said, this is CGR's last fight. It doesn't really matter if we take some damage. This is going to do a ton. Or I guess a moderate amount. It is a rank 4 Surfer. 20,000 isn't that much. But then we're just going to go ahead and finish this out. That's fine. Boom. And if that hadn't worked, I was going to throw the special 2 immediately after that. There just aren't many champions on that node other than perhaps Mystics, most of whom don't have access to armor, that could give CGR any trouble. So then, fights that I have taken probably dozens of times, but not in a while. It was really nice to bring Killmonger back out for these. This first one on Spider-Gwen, this node is actually significantly easier in a way if you intentionally trigger the evade or auto block with Killmonger because they gain power from it. They gain power and they place those fatigues on you. So you just gained power from having debuffs placed on you. They just gained power. You're getting willpower healing from the debuffs. And now they probably have enough power to throw a special, which you can counter, get True Strike up nice and early, don't have to worry about brute force. And basically the way any fight that Killmonger should be taking on this node plays out pretty much the same way. You get True Strike up early, you spam the special 1 for easy openings, you don't have to worry about the limber coming into play, it's just not a problem. So here we do have the one thing that can kind of go, not quite wrong, but just annoying, is when the AI just forgets they have specials. But that's fine. They can't evade the hit that would give Killmonger True Strike. That's kind of a weird thing because his synergy with OG Black Panther actually does allow them to evade on the intercept that would give Black Panther True Strike, but that doesn't happen with Killmonger. So you don't really have to worry as long as you're punishing. Good to go. Go ahead, max him back out, head into this MODOK, throw on an invulnerability boost. I'm not really worried. I was actually dueling for this with a 2-star against my low rank 5-star. And so I had dodged tons and tons of special 1s, but that's basically how you lose this fight. If you lose it, is you eat multiple special 1s. Is just the biggest risk. The other thing is if you either lose True Strike because you ate a special 1 or because you weren't staying on top of the tempo, for whatever reason you feel like you need to backdraft, and heaven forbid you eat a full combo from MODOK, that's the other way you can die. But the basic plan here is very similar to Node 55. Get True Strike up as early as you possibly can by pushing him to a bar as quickly as possible through some combination of blocked hits and regular hits. And then just spam the special 1. You're not going to time out. You don't need to worry about the special 3. It's fun, but It's just not normally worth the risk. The closest I've come to dying on this particular fight was when I went for the Special 3 and just took a ton of block damage, and that was before high ground, which can make it even worse. So as you can see, utilizing Counterpunch to get those nice openings, often doing only 4-hit combos instead of 5 to back off, just keeps the tempo up. We've actually kind of lapped high ground here, and at one point, I think it was at 60, we hit the increment of 10 before high ground came back, and so that's why we had to deal with it for a little bit. But then we've caught up with it again, and we're keeping it off for most of the fight. So most of this block damage is just vanilla, hey, the boss has a ton of attack and has True Strike, so he's ignoring your armor. Most of this has not actually been high ground, which is really nice. So we're at about the 2-minute mark here. He's a little below a third. If this was the old days where we had to worry about getting it down in 3 minutes, then A, I probably would have boosted heavier, but B, that's when going to the Special 3 can make sense. But here, like I said, it's more important to just stick to your rhythm, keep high ground off, keep True Strike up, keep Counterpunch available for easy openings, and the whole fight just flows. Now you'll notice that was the second time where I actually ended up blocking the first hit of the Special 1. That does happen sometimes, you know, if you're not perfect. But that is much, much better than dashing back early and just eating the last couple beams and not being able to punish it. So if you're practicing for this fight, err on the side of dashing back late, as long as you're dashing back from a block. Because if you have those counterpunch charges up, then it will make you go unstoppable. You can dash back safely and then still punish and get the True Strike back up. You don't want to be doing that constantly, because then you may not feel like you have enough counterpunch charges to keep the tempo up with openings. But you can afford to do it periodically if your dexes are not absolutely perfect. Like I said, it's not something you aim for, but I think it is something to be conscious of while you're practicing, so that if you are not perfect, you're erring on the safer side of the dex, which is a great way to avoid getting hit in the face. Anyway, like I said, I missed that fight. It was super fun. It's one of the most fun fights in War for me. I just love shredding MODOK with Killmonger. But overall, this war went extremely well for our battle group. We only died once. That's another 164. It's funny because it's always a different person who dies, and they always feel terrible. I have been that person. It is not fun. But as I keep saying, it's like, it's a good thing that we keep passing that particular responsibility around, because it means that we keep getting 164s. So, always happy with that. As an alliance, we had a bit of a rougher day overall. It happens. We had some very uncharacteristic deaths, unfortunately, and ISO8 did pull ahead on this one. I don't think it was that close. It was probably within like 3. So, unfortunately, that means that we are towards the bottom end of Masters at this point, and out of these last 2 wars, it's really important that we win at least one of them. So, need to tighten the bolts a bit, and we'll see how everything goes on Saturday. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed the return of Killmonger. And until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.